Alright, rockers, Turbo, back with you here inside the Asylum. And I promised you a guest while I was away at Comic-Con, and I am delivering right now for you guys. Charred Walls of the Damned has a new album out, and it is awesome, and it is called Creatures Watching Over the Dead. And joining me right now by phone, Charred Walls of the Damned founding member and all that good stuff, Richard Christy. How are you, man?
I'm good, Turbo. Thank you so much. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Doing well, man. Thank you for taking the time out to call in and talk about the new album. I appreciate it very much. I know you're a busy guy.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and it's always good to talk metal.
Awesome, and definitely. Now, I want to start off with something off topic of the album, and I'm sure you've gotten asked about it by others, but I've always told a mutual friend of ours, Don Jameson, that I would bring this up if I ever got to talk with you. Now,
nice. I love Don.
Don's a great guy. Really love him, and I've always told him, and I don't hide from anyone, my disability, but because of my disability, you and I share something in common, and that is that we both use adult diapers at concerts. Now, for me, it's obvious why I do it, and I'm just wondering, when did you get the idea that was, to do that?
Well, it's funny. Don actually talks about that on one of his comedy albums, too, about how I use a diaper, and it was such an honor to be on one of his comedy albums as one, as a bit that he did about me. It was so cool. But it all started, I can trace it all back to the year 2000. I was touring with a band called Demons and Wizards, which is a band consisting of John from Iced Earth, John Schaefer, and Hansi Kirsch from Blind Guardian. And I played drums for them on tour, and we ended up playing the Gods of Metal Festival in Milan, Italy, right before Iron Maiden. Which was like a dream come true. It was insane. It was at a soccer stadium in front of about 20,000 people. And some of the guys from Iron Maiden were on stage watching us, and it was just mind-blowing. But after we were done, I went backstage, grabbed about 7 or 8 beers, and walked out to the crowd to watch Iron Maiden. And since I was in the opening band, they let me go on the scaffolding that was above the soundboard to watch Iron Maiden, which is like the best seat in the house, because I was up on the scaffolding above the crowd, right in front of the stage, and it was insane. So here I am getting to watch my favorite band, Iron Maiden, from the best seat in the house at a soccer stadium in Italy. And meanwhile, halfway through their set, I started to have to pee, and I had to make a choice. Do I pee my pants, or do I wade back through the crowd and go all the way backstage to pee, which at that point I would have missed probably 5 or 6 Iron Maiden songs, because it would have took me forever. So I was like, well, I'll just pee my pants. And so I peed my pants for metal, because I didn't want to miss any of Iron Maiden songs. So that was the very first time I did that, and I didn't have a diaper. So the next time I saw Iron Maiden, I was like, well, you know what, I'll be prepared this time. And sure enough, I didn't want to miss any of their songs, and I didn't have to, because I had my diaper on. So, it's a good thing to have if there's a band. They say that there's certain bands that have those bathroom songs where it's not one of their best songs and you can go to use the bathroom, but there's certain bands, for me, like Iron Maiden, that I love every one of their songs, so there's no chance to go to the bathroom.
I hear you, man. I'm right with you on Maiden. I haven't missed a tour of theirs since Brave New World. And I mean, you're right, Maiden does not have any bathroom songs. So that was a great show to get a great idea, and I'm actually surprised you haven't gotten yourself a a licensing deal with one of the companies.
Like an endorsement from Depends.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny. I actually, for our second album that came out in 2011, Cold Winds on Timeless Days, they did a limited edition through Metal Blade of 1,000 CDs that came with a signed diaper. And I ended up, I had to go out and buy like 1,000 pairs of Depends and sign them all. So it was the funniest looking thing. I had a massive pile of Depends in my living room that I had to sign with a Sharpie.
Oh, that is just absolutely priceless. I love that. I didn't even know about that because I had bought the last album in a store when music stores were still a thing. So I didn't even know about that special package deal. But I like that. Very unique.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, very unique. And well, there you go. We got something in common other than our love of metal. And speaking of metal, let's get into it. The new album, Creatures Watching Over the Dead. I got it about a week before it came out, gave it a spin. I love it. And the first thing really I want to know, and I'm sure many of the fans want to know, is what was the reason for the 5-year gap between albums, if there was one?
You know, kind of the main reason with the gap was just that I wanted to take a little bit more time and really craft the songs really well. And I've always heard of bands that would write way more songs than they would need for an album, and then kind of pick their favorite ones. And I always wanted to do that. I never kind of had the time with the first two albums. I just wrote the exact amount of songs we needed for each of those first two albums. So for this one, I was like, well, I'll take a little bit more time. I ended up writing about 22 songs. Just took my time, really spent a lot of time on each song, reworking them and going back and changing things that I thought could make the songs better. And then once I had about 22 songs, I sent them all to Jason Sukoff, our guitar player, who's also our producer. And I just asked him, I said, hey, listen to these and pick your favorite 9 songs, because I trust his instincts. And he's an amazing musician and has an awesome ear as a producer. So he picked his favorite 9 songs, and then that's what we decided to use for the album. So, it was just a matter of taking a little bit more time with the songs, spending a little bit more time also as far as in the studio with the album. We took a lot more time. Jason spent a lot of time with his guitars on this album, doing the solos and making sure all the melodies and harmonies were awesome. And and another thing is too, just all of our schedules. Tim Owens is on tour a lot, and same with Steve DiGiorgio, and we kind of also work around Jason Sukoff's schedule as a producer. And and I had other things going on as well too. Like Jason Sukoff and I wrote music for a cartoon called Majestic Loincloth. It's a comedy heavy metal Viking rock opera that you can see on YouTube. You could just search under Majestic Loincloth. We worked on that. And we just, I just kind of didn't get in a rush with this album. And I think it worked out really well, because I think people haven't heard from us in a while, and now they're pleasantly surprised that we have a new album out.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I first heard rumblings about the album when you did a guest spot on that metal show as the drummer in the house. And then after
Hmm.
that, I didn't hear anything. I got a little bit on the concerned side, and then the word came out that the album was coming, and as a fan, I was very much relieved to hear that and glad to have the new material. And when you sat down to do the writing, did you go into it with a different idea or theme? Because this album doesn't feel as dark and as gloomy as the last album. It just feels like a pure, fun, heavy metal, you know, headbang till you bust your neck type of vibe.
Oh, well, thanks for saying that. That's kind of my goal when I do these albums. I just want people to headbang and have fun listening to them, And I think it just naturally happened that this album doesn't have as dark of a vibe as the last album. Just um, I guess it's just where my head is at right now. I'm in a happy place, and I'm a pretty positive guy, and my wife and I bought a record player a couple of years ago, and we listened to tons of vinyl. Actually, Don Jameson always, whenever he gets us a gift, he always gets us some awesome vinyl. So, I've been listening to a lot of like Quiet Riot and Twisted Sister and White Lion, a lot of '80s metal on vinyl, and a lot of that stuff is pretty uh, happy, kind of positive metal sounding stuff. So that might have influenced me as well. Just from listening to that kind of stuff a lot. And when I write the music, I don't really kind of go into it thinking, oh, I want this album to sound more kind of metal and not as dark as the last album. It just kind of comes out that way. So I think it just so happens that maybe I'm, just a little happier now than I was when I wrote that second album. Maybe when I wrote that second album, I was watching a lot of, uh, you know, watching The Exorcist a lot or something kind of dark. So, I was probably in a real horror type vibe maybe for that second album.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, and you would think with a title like Creatures Watching Over the Dead, it might have had a darker undertone, but it really didn't, and none of the songs really do. I mean, they're very energetic. Afterlife catches your ear right away, as does reach into light, and there really is not a bad track on the album, and I'm not just saying that to blow smoke up your ass because that's not the type of person I am. It really is a very solid album, and I wanted to ask, does working with your guitarist as your producer help to make the process of both writing it and recording it a little easier and a little more enjoyable?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're so lucky that Jason is our guitarist and producer, and he's the engineer. He kind of jack of all trades, and it's his studio that we record at too. So he's such just a genius at all that it works out perfectly. And when he does his guitars, he can take his time and spend as much time as he wants because it's his studio, and it's him by himself just recording. So it's really no stress for him. So we really have the luxury of him being able to spend as much time as he wants on his guitars, which is awesome. And I love having him as a producer because he's just such an awesome songwriter, and he knows exactly what we need as far as the guitar parts, and he knows we're a real melodic band, and he knows that I want the guitars to have tons of melody and stuff like that. So it just works out great for all of us. And his studio, Audio Hammer Studios, is so fun to record at. He lives in Florida, so he's got a nice swimming pool, and his roommate Ron is a real cool guy and fun to hang out with. He has a dog, Stinky, that's a freaking awesome dog, a Rottweiler. So it's just all around. I'm so lucky that we have him as a guitar player and as producer and engineer and co-songwriter and everything that he does.
Sure, and I'm sure, like you said, all that camaraderie and that comfort, you feel it in the album and in the music, because it doesn't feel like everyone was off doing their own thing behind the computer with Pro Tools. It does have that united feel, and I think that's something a lot of bands are maybe missing out on nowadays. Technology has gotten so good, but everyone kind of forgot that part of making an album is like you do, and that is getting together and kind of having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're all friends and we all have fun together, and I hope, like you said, I think that shows in the album and in the music that we're just having fun, and it's a fun vibe, and we want it to sound as natural as possible, and I think it really does. It sounds very live, and a lot of that too, I think, comes from just the fact that we've all played together for so long now. I've been actually writing songs and jamming with Jason Sukoff since 1999. I even helped lay his parquet flooring in his studio back in the year 2000 when I was living with him. So we just and Steve DiGiorgio I've been jamming with since 1997. Tim Owens I've known since 2003. So we just have such a great chemistry, I think, and we want it to sound like a band playing right there live in front of you. And one of my dreams is eventually, if it's tough these days because of recording budgets and all that, but my dream is to record on 2-inch tape live in the studio as a full band one of these days.
Wow.
But I would love that. I think nowadays the only person that can afford to do that is Dave Grohl. I know he talks about doing that, but it's tough. Even just buying 2-inch tape is so expensive these days. But that would be my dream, just to record kind of like they did in the 60s and 70s. But I think we got about as close as you can get to that with the sound that we got on this album, because it's us jamming, and it's like for me, if I click the stick on the edge of my tom, or there's some little natural sounding mistake, I like leaving it in there because it sounds real.
I like that. I like that you leave it in there and that you keep it real. There's too much perfection going on in the music industry, and it's not always good to have something like that come out on a great new album. And Charred Walls of the Damned, Creatures Watching Over the Dead in stores now. And Richard, before I let you go, I gotta ask, are there any plans on doing any live shows coming up, or maybe early next year, for support of this album? And obviously now you have 3 albums worth of material to do.
Yeah, we really want to. We're talking about hopefully doing some festival shows next year. We've been discussing some things. There's nothing I can confirm yet, but we're definitely planning on it, and we want to. We're hoping everybody's schedules will line up to be able to do it. And we did a tour in support of the first album. Then we did some shows for the second album as well. And I'm really hoping, I think best for us would be to do some festivals as far as our schedule and everything. that hopefully we'll get to do some festivals. And yeah, probably early next year or next spring, it'd probably be around the time when we'll be doing some stuff. But we're definitely planning on it and definitely hoping to. So I wish I could say for sure. I wish I had a solid date, but we're definitely working on some stuff.
Well, that's good to hear, and I know every Charred Walls of the damn fans will be watching and waiting for those dates to get announced when they come. For now, you can just enjoy the new album, Creatures, Watching Over the Dead, making numbers on Billboard. Congratulations on that as well. That's big news nowadays.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, it's always an honor to know that people are actually picking up the album and listening to it, and just the fact to think that somewhere right now somebody could be listening to our album is just such an honor. So yeah, the fact that metal still can make some of the charts is in 2016 is pretty awesome. It just goes to show you metal's around for good. It's not going anywhere anytime soon.
That's the truth. Richard, before I let you go, I gotta have you pick a song from the album for my listeners to hear, a favorite of yours, maybe a one with some meaning or story. The choice is yours.
Sure thing. Well, you mentioned Afterlife, so how about we play the song Afterlife from the new album? It's the lyrics are just about how, for me personally, and for anybody, nobody really knows what happens after we're gone. So hopefully what we do here on Earth will continue to live on, and one of those ways is through music. There's people that are gone that were still enjoying their music. So in a way, music is people's afterlife. So that's kind of just what the lyrics to this song are about.
That is so true. I say it all the time whenever I play music by the late great Ronnie James Dio or Dimebag or Lemmy. They're not with us, but their music kind of gives them eternal life, and that keeps them with us forever.
Absolutely, and my dear friend Chuck Schuldiner from Death, his music will live forever, even though he's not with us anymore. But people still listen to his music every day, and I love that, and I know he would love that too.
Damn right, they all love it. They all hear it because of how loud we play it, and that's how metal should be. Richard, thank you for joining me here inside the ASYLUM tonight. And rockers, go get yourself the new Charred Walls of the Jammed album, Creatures, Watching Over the Dead. Here is Afterlife right now inside the ASYLUM.